In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Dear Toastmasters, these lines from the Genesis are all too familiar. You've heard them, experienced them, and lived the majesty of their narration. But imagine if I had said the same lines in this manner. In the beginning, God said that there was created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void. And then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. You would probably look at me as if to say, "Hello, everything okay? Why are you speaking like this?" Yes, that's because you know me and you expect better from me, hopefully. But if I was in the audience and I didn't know the speaker, in those 9 seconds, I'd have made judgments about the speaker, her socio-economic status, her competence, and whether or not I will be willing to sit in front of her to listen to her for the next 15 minutes. All this primarily on the perception of the speaker and her voice. Dear Toastmasters, our voice is like our thumbprint and like our facial features. It's uniquely you. Whether you are a tea seller or a CEO or a student facing an interview, your voice is your calling card. And we do know of one so-called tea seller who has become the Prime Minister for the 2nd term and is using his voice as one of his trump cards. I can't stress enough the significance of this crucially important tool for a speaker, your voice. All of us are definitely aware that one of the most decisive aspects of delivering a speech is confidence. And believe me, nothing reflects this better than your voice. It's one of the most powerful weapons that you can have in your arsenal as a speaker. I'm afraid it goes beyond what we say. Remember the adage, it is not what you say, it is how you say what you say. People in power and like politicians and notable public speakers have dedicated speech coaches just to guide them how to throw their voices, how to accentuate it, and how to mold them and regulate them for the audience. So let's look at what goes into the making of the most powerful elite voices, because it is after all a combination of elements. Let me start with the most simple one, dear friends. Let me share content with you now. The first one that I'd like to bring to you, your notice, is intensity, or loudness, or softness, or anything in between, measured in decibels. Now you'd probably say, there is a microphone, Bharathi, and it will pick your voice and it will accentuate it. It will make it louder. What is the issue? Why do we need to look at this? Dear friends, I bring this up first of all because all of us have our own cultural biases when we decide what is loud and what is soft. Excuse me. Last week was Teachers' Day, and as teachers we get calls from students. I got a call from a local student, a Shetty. "Hello ma'am, how are you? Happy Teachers' Day," and so on and so forth. Done. Next, I got a call from a Delhiite. She is a Delhiite. "Hi, ma'am. How are you? What's up? Happy Teacher's Day." Nothing wrong with either of the voices. But I found myself judging that girl, thinking, this is very loud. And she's sounding very assertive and aggressive. Also, she's very enthusiastic. That also was there. I'm a generous soul that way. But when I thought of this boy who was a local, the Shetty, I felt so comfortable. It was comfort food because he's a Urdar. He's my person. I'm used to speaking in that way. So what is important, I think, dear friends, when it comes to loudness is that I examine what my threshold is. Is there a threshold beyond which I will not be loud? beyond which I'm not willing to go. We need to examine this, because different ideas in a speech, in the same speech, will need varying intensities, don't you agree? And that is why it would be a pity if I did not raise my voice even when it is necessary. I will leave it there, and I will go to the next aspect of the point that I would like to bring, and that is, intonation. Some of us have such a sing-song voice that we are very successful in putting the audience to sleep within the first 2 minutes of our starting our speech. That is because nobody has told us, your voice sounds as if you are doing a sing-song thing, even when you're speaking. We didn't know, there was no intention, but that is what has happened. It would be very kind of somebody, of an evaluator, to tell me, ma'am, your voice is sounding very sing-song. I think you need, not ma'am Bharathi, your voice is sounding sing-song. I think you could have a look at it. And then some of us can sound like Alexa, Google's Alexa. It's like, even in Toastmaster speeches, sometimes we say, mentoring is what brings in the magic. Mentoring is a very important aspect of Toastmasters. Mentoring is a must for all Toastmasters. I would go for mentoring even without asking. Alexa, robotic sound. We don't know we are sounding like that, but that's how it is. Remember the railway announcements? Now I'm going to make you feel nostalgic, okay? It's like, your attention please. Train number 5631, Guruvayur and Thiruvananthapuram. Fast passenger will arrive shortly on platform number 2. Alexa. Did I make you feel nostalgic? I hope I did. It's been a while since I went to the railway station. Very, very cruel of me, but sometimes I like to do that. But far more, let's say, bothersome than being Alexa or being a sing-song, let me tell you, is the teacher voice. Do you remember the teacher voice? The famous teacher tone. Let me start. Young Prince Siddharth decided he wanted to go in search of meditation, and he left. Whom did he leave at home? His wife and child. It's as if the audience is supposed to supply the answer. The audience feels irritated. I don't know the answer. Why are you asking me a question as if I'm supposed to give the answer? Young Prince Siddharth meditated under the Bodhi tree for many years. And then what happened? He became a monk. So we take it up to give impact. We take it up. And then the most important aspect, we bring it down. Typically like a teacher. It's a trap. It's a trap, let me tell you. All of us who are teachers have gone through this. I myself have gone through the teacher tone. I'm not sure I have removed it completely. One evaluator was kind enough to throw caution to the winds and tell me, actually he was magnanimous enough to tell me, Bharathi, you're starting to sound like a teacher now. Every time I sit at a place where you are giving a speech, I feel I'm sitting in your classroom. I felt terrible that day. I was almost in tears when I went back home. But then I did mull over it, and I thought that he was kind to tell me that. I think we need just to think about these things. Some of us chop our sentences into equal pieces. Like, for example, she said, you go ahead, I'll be late. But then I decided I won't wait. Tuck, tuck, tuck. What I think is, in music, dear friends, we very rarely come across a piece that's one note from beginning to the end. Actually, never. So, what makes us think that if we are speaking in the same note from the beginning till the end, we will, same intonation, we will keep the interest of the audience with us. That too in this age of low attention spans, not very logical, right? Actually, we need to listen to the tunes that we create. Pay attention. Tape and listen. It's very boring to listen to the sound of your own voice. Actually, I have to admit that if I listen to my voice again, I find it very boring, but I think it's a learning experience. And I'd say it teaches us a lot. It's an uphill task to undo the tunes that we create as we are speaking. Ultimately, I think it's muscle memory. It's the muscles that respond in a certain manner. And it is difficult to undo that muscle memory. The muscles and the breath, the way we take our breath. Over the years, we have settled down comfortably to a tune, and it's difficult to undo, but we can try. And that is why let me go to the third element that I have for you. The third element that I have for you, dear friends, a simple one once again, is rate. How fast or slow you talk. The average rate of our favorite TED speakers, they say, is 160 to 175 words per minute. I don't go beyond 150 words per minute. My level is that. I'm still all right, I suppose. I've managed all right so far. The rate is not the only thing in voice modulation, obviously. But if I speak too fast without bothering about whether the audience is with me or not, if I speak so fast that the audience cannot understand me, and if I speak so fast that the audience wishes that I will shut my mouth, then I will be putting the audience to stress. But then once again, if I speak so slowly that I sound as if I am speaking to children, it can sound condescending, as if I'm preaching. I'll probably start sounding like Mata Bharathi Shevgoor Anandamayi, giving my man ki baat to you in very slow tones. The rate has to vary again. It's actually the give and take of the pace that makes it interesting for the listeners. And that is why, let me come to the fourth aspect of this 15-minute talk of mine. The fourth aspect is, I think, yes, frequency. Yes, frequency of voice pitch, measured in hertz. I think this word we would have heard only when I was a kid from the radio. I would have heard measured in hertz, but frequency is measured in hertz. The issue is a voice pitch too high, squeaky even? Do you remember Bernadette in Big Bang Theory? Those of you who have seen Big Bang Theory, classic squeaky. I told you I don't want you to come into this room. I told you you shouldn't speak to me in that way. I'm offended that you do what I want you to do. Very clear, squeaky, high-pitched voice. Sorry to bring in pop references. I couldn't help it because she's a classic case for a squeaky voice pitch. Let me bring up something interesting here when it comes to voice pitch. Do you know that a lower voice pitch is considered more impactful and authoritative lower pitch? Listen to actress Rekha. Most of us would have listened, though, we don't see her in too many movies now, so we may not be able to recall. But do watch a video of hers and you'll understand what I'm saying. She trained herself, I believe, to speak at a lower pitch. Just listen. And guess who trained her? Yes, the same man who said, "Aaj mere paas gaadi hai, bangla hai, bank balance hai, kya hai tumhare paas?" Yes, the big B. The voice that today sells everything from boot polish to tail malish. A lower, huskier voice is supposed to be more authoritative, reflective of leadership. Another interesting aspect that I came across when I read about this was that after 1960, I believe, it's difficult to believe, women around the world brought down their voice pitch. Do you know why? To compete with the men in the boardroom. Not the bedroom, the boardroom. I'm being very clear about it. Boardroom. Okay. In the bedroom, okay, that's not my area. I leave it to Royal, whatever. So my point is, do you believe after 1960, all the women decided we are going to speak in a lower voice pitch because we have to compete with these men. So I have a bone to pick with nature here. Nature who has gifted the male of the species with a stronger, more powerful voice. People may not agree with me, but I do think women have a distinct disadvantage when it comes to reflecting power mainly through voices. I have to take my voice down notches lower to sound impactful. It's like my students told me, "Ma'am, please shout at us, ma'am. We don't mind. But please don't say, please leave the room. My heart goes dub, 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 dub when I hear you saying, please leave the room. Don't say that. So that's how it is. Another thing is, even in the animal kingdom, I believe, the males who have lower voices are the leaders of the pack and get this, mate more frequently. Go figure. So now I come to the last of the points that I would like to bring up here. And that is just a simple one, quality. Quality, yes. Vanda, she's spoken all this. What is quality now? Is your voice nasal like mine? Mine veers towards the nasal. And quality many times depends on your mother tongue, the aspects of stress that are there in your mother tongue. Konkani, my mother tongue, is supposed to be a fairly nasal language. I've heard Malayali speaking, the voice is low. It's very powerful. I have always felt that people from Kerala, the men, have powerful voices. There are many men here. It's not because you're from Kerala. It is because Mangalore and Kerala are like, we're the same area. When I say voices, is it raspy? Remember Rani Mukherjee's voice? I think she's grating something in her throat. But it's such an interesting voice. Om Puri, Amrish Puri, Mogambo Kush Hua Kya, Mogambo Kush Hua. Yes. These are unique voices actually. We don't need to change these voices. These voices are interesting because they are unique. I'm not saying we have to change our voice at all. What I'm saying is, let us try to infuse elements of variety in the voices that we are blessed with. Dear Toastmasters, speech is a performance. We need to work on our voices. Let it not be a neglected asset that we take for granted. Listen to others, watch for resonance, and connect it to the sounds around, bird songs, animals, the wind, a branch breaking, the humming melody of the universe. Dear Toastmasters, let us realize and maximize the potential of this gift, the gift of the human voice. Over to you, Toastmaster Royal.
A round of applause to our wonderful speaker, DTM Bharathi Shevgoor. It was a wonderful session, well crafted, engaging, very interesting. Thank you so much. Would you like to take some questions, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. If there are, if there are some things that people would want to bring up.
If anyone would like to ask questions, you can unmute yourself and ask it.
Yeah, this is Kishore from Shimoga Toastmaster.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How much the emotions play a major role with the voice when we are speaking?
Yes. Roshan, did you say your name?
No, emotion. My name is Kishore.
Your name?
Kishore.
Kishore, I'm sorry. Yes, Kishore. Yes, and it's good that you brought it up because this has directly got to do with our emotional quotient. As speakers, we need to be very aware of our own emotions when we are speaking and the emotions of the listeners. And you know that when we are emotional, the voice can break down, your muscles contract, and we are in a sense of, raised emotion. But I think that we need to regulate our emotions even as we are speaking. We have to tell ourselves, okay, I'm being upset now. I have to be all right. I can't afford to be, because at the dais, we can't afford to break down. We have to communicate. And you know that you want to take the audience with you. So somewhere you have to tread the line between seeming unemotional and expressing emotion as well. I would ask you not to allow emotion to take the upper hand when you are on the dais. That is my answer to you. Let it be there. Emote with the audience, yes. But don't allow it to take upper hand, because when we are emotional, thoughts, the thought level, the cognition, the buddhi is what we say, it can desert us at times. I go high. I tell my, this is my poor husband who has to listen to them. You lost your head because you were very emotional when you spoke to that person and you forgot what you had to say. That is what happened. We rise above the ground. We're floating somewhere. So don't allow it to take a grasp of you, but be aware of yourself.
Thank
I
you
don't
so
know
much.
if I've answered you.
Very well, very well. Thank you.
Yeah, looks like,
Another question from my side again,
yeah.
Kishore here again.
Yeah.
How can we actually, is there any kind of physical exercise where we can work out and we can improve our voice modulation? Or if
Yes.
someone is very much masculine, if they want to
Yes.
be suppress their voice, or if someone is
I
very
get what you're saying.
feminist?
You
Yeah,
want to
thank you.
work on your voice. There are various exercises. There are breathing exercises. There are exercises where you have to touch certain parts, and a stage coach will tell you. I went through one many years back in Shimoga Hegbodu. They ask you to touch your throat and say voice inflection. They will take you through various rates of speaking. You see, there are 4 ways in which we speak. The first one is the most guttural one, where we say that one. And then there's the model tone, and then beyond that is when we say falsetto. So it's like singing. He will ask you to say zara zara mehkta hai, and then he'll say up, and then you have to say zara zara mehkta hai, and then again raise zara zara, falsetto, mehkta hai, and then he'll say whistle. The last one is whistle. I will not do that for you because I'm generous, and I have sympathy for your eardrums. So there are exercises. Mostly it is breath. How you take in your breath and how you untrain these muscles of yours, because they have got comfortably set in the tune that you have. There are exercises, but you will have to approach a professional coach for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Thank you, DTM Bharathi Shevgoor. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. So when she told me, okay, so when she told me you have to kiss, I was sweating, but not with fear. And she came closer to me and she said, "Keep it simple, silly. Next time when you overthink and feel all the doors are locked, just step back and close your eyes and just kiss." And I took this advice very seriously. And next day, one lady, she approached me and she asked, how many of you would like to be a president of IST back in college times? So first thing that came to mind was, wow, raise your hand. And then the but thought started appearing. Hey, are you sure about it? Do you really think people will support you? But then I remember my friend's words. I took a deep breath and then I raised my hand. And after that, we had to give a speech to be elected as a president. And there were multiple people around there and who were talking about, who were using very complicated words that I guess even Shashi Tharoor would have been confused by then. And then I took a break, took a deep breath again, and I kept it very simple. And because of which everybody, they were able to connect to me.